Lancaster City Council meeting. City Clerk.
Council Member, Agency Director, Authority Member Mann.
Present.
Underwood Jacobs.
Present.
Vice Mayor Vice Chairman Christ.
Present.
Mayor Chairman Paris.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. The invocation tonight will be with Bishop Hearns.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council, and to all of you for the opportunity anytime to pray in the name of my Lord and Savior. First of all, let me make sure that everybody understands that I'm not forcing this on anyone else. Whatever name and deity you have, that's fine. Allow me to do mine, and that's Jesus. Let's pray. Father, we thank you for this privilege to be here tonight. We thank you for the change and the installation of a young brother that loves this city and loves his community, and we thank you for him. We thank you for our city council, who is in political harm's way 24/7. But we thank you for it. Thank you for our mayor and for all of the staff of this city who make sure that this city is at the best it can be at all times. Bless us now and bless this ceremony and all of the business decisions that will be made tonight. We pray that your hands will be over it, and we give you the praise for that tonight. In the precious name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Bishop. In honor of Mr. Carter being in the paper all week, we'll let Mr. Carter do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please recite with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You can have a seat. In order to fill the vacant seat, I'm going to put the nomination of the new city council person to the top of the list. I'd initially given this a lot of thought, and I was going to appoint, no, Raj, I'm only kidding. So I'd like the council to consider the nomination and appointment of Raj Mali to fill the vacant seat on the City Council through the remainder of the term 2018. Do you realize you guys have to have an election before he does? You lucked out, Raj.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I will second.
Do we have any speaker cards?
I don't see any.
Good. Let's vote. And it's unanimous.
Gosh, they're not clapping for me.
We are going to wait for Raj's children. Marvin, why don't you do Miss Rodeo while we're waiting for the children?
Carolyn, come on. Could I get the full rodeo committee?
Yes.
Get it.
Okay, Carolyn was crowned Miss Rodeo 2015 at the pageant held in Lancaster, California, and represented the greater Antelope Valley as her hometown while she traveled over 20,000 miles across the nation last year. She attended 25 rodeos, Western and agricultural events, and charitable events as California #1 rodeo ambassador. That's great. Carolyn is a true cowgirl. They wrote it, I didn't put it there.
I don't like it.
During her reign, Carolyn has displayed grace, poise, dedication, enthusiasm while fulfilling her role as Miss Rodeo. She's helped raise money's awareness, various charitable organizations, and acted as a mentor and a role model for the next generation of cowgirls and rodeo queens. She will reign over the 2015 Ram PCRA California Circuit Finals Rodeo in Lancaster, California, October 16th and 17th. Johnny, before we do this, you want to tell us about the rodeo?
Well, it's our 5th year with the circuit finals, but I would like really talk about Carol Ann. Carol Ann has really done a bang-up job. She's been all over the state. She's been down to Florida with one of our latest national sponsors. She's done a great, great job. She just finished up doing a kids rodeo in City of Industry. The largest turnout ever, over 5,000 kids. She's doing one here for us. We hope that she helps get us off the ground one day where it's big. So Carol Ann's done a great job, and we're tickled to death you guys would bring her in. Salute her.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, please.
Thank you.
Can we get the tall in the back? And the mayor next to Carol?
Yeah, the mayor will do that.
Yeah, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Writing nasty things. These guys are writing nasty things.
We could just, Rex, we could just, Rex, we could do streets of life. You weren't winner. That would have been me.
Here he comes.
Hey, sweetheart, how are you? Okay. Is it okay to? You know, this really is one of the reasons we want you to be on the council with us, is because you do represent the new Lancaster families. What I mean by that is he's younger, we're older. You know, it makes sense to put him on. We have been friends with Raj and his family now for 30 years, and in that time, we have always been impressed by the integrity of the family, the hard-working ability of the family. And I have a story to tell you. Before I ever met them, my wife used to go into the restaurant, and while she was in there, I think it was your brother she ran into, who started talking about how their father made them listen to my commercial, where I talked about how my children slept on the office floor when we were building the office. And that was the example of how families build businesses. And I've always been touched by that. And now to see you on the council, I'm thrilled. So why don't we do the swearing in here?
Yes.
Right, and does that work on the picture? Good. And why don't you have your father come up? Hey, let's not miss the chance of getting a shot. Nice to see you. Sure. Hi, how are you? It's nice to see you. Okay, I'm going to let you read this with me because the last time we did this, I don't think we got all the words right. Okay. I, your name,
Raj Prabhat Mali,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution
that I will support and defend the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution
that I will bear true faith and allegiance in the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well
that I will well
and faithfully
and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
You are now on the Lancaster City Council.
Today is the
Sign right there. Now, he just gave me his firstborn. Which one is it? That's. Thank you.
Just wanted a few words, all my friends and families here. First of all, I would like to thank you, Mayor Paris, and the council for trusting in me and putting me in this council. And I have my family started from bottom, and I just wanted to thank you, my wife and my kids, for supporting and love, and they always been there. And then they have, even I'm not around all the time, but still they love me and they support me. And my parents, they have always been there, and their guidance and the vision and the hard work they have done for my family and my brother and sister, and now it's just amazing to have a wonderful family. And my father always taught me, Raj, do not ever, if you succeeded today, you don't ever forget to give it back to your community. And my father is here today, and I am promising him and everybody else here, and my council, my mayor, that I will do everything for my community. Antelope Valley is my community, and I will do everything in my power to small businesses, because that's where we came from. Small businesses, this is who we are. And it takes a lot of work, hard work, 7 days a week. I used to go to high school and come back, straight go to the restaurant, and then help my parents and do my homework there. And I didn't never get to go home until 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. And next morning, we used to go back to school and the same routine. And I started from the bottom, and I understand how hard work and how much it takes to those small businesses are. And I'm there for them. And I know my council, my mayor has always done so much for this, our business-friendly, this city is business-friendly city. And it's been like more than twice. And we will keep it that way. And thank you so much for being here. Some of them you drove from Reno, Fresno, Bakersfield, Pasadena, and Simi Valley, and my local friends. I love you all, and thank you so much for being here.
You know, 5 years ago, I told him I was worried about him giving speeches. let's get another, we're going to take a couple pictures, and then we're going to go next door, and we have some cake and all that other stuff, and then we'll come back and finish the meeting. So that's the plan, okay?
There in the middle. If we can get tall in back, I think it's going to be wide. If we can get tall in the back, it's going to be elegant. And then once you guys get up front. Why don't we get you right up front here? Right about here. Okay.
Next day. It's a dolly.
Okay, we're going to recess for about 15 minutes.
That's quick.
assumptions. Oh, yeah, it was perfectly over and something. Somebody told me that 25 years ago. That's the way. Yeah. Then on the other hand, I sit there and think, he may know something I don't, which may be that everybody understands it's a game. Yeah. That may very well be. And the others lie too. It's just who lies more convincingly. Yeah. That's funny.
Expert in coup de law. And just said, Rex said today. They probably got tired of hearing from He just had a 60th week. 60th, right?
There's our fifth.
Oh, she is still working.
He probably is, but this is usually it.
And I'm definitely not giving away.
Was he on the ballot?
All right.
I can't remember. Yeah.
So they're not coming back to watch the rest of the meeting?
I think it's still outside.
Okay, we're back in session. Mr. Bozzigi, do you want to finish the presentations?
Yes, the next one we have is Streets of Lancaster, and Jeff is going to do it because Rhonda's, her foot won't allow her. She's in a boot, so Jeff Campbell will be doing this. Mayor, if you'd like to join us. He asked you to join.
No. Sorry. You might still be at the party, tell you honestly.
Yeah, no. You mean Gerald?
I think he's at the party still. I don't think he's come back over yet.
Why don't you do the presentation? I think that'd probably be more appropriate.
Yeah, here we're good. So, good evening, everyone. Mayor Paris, Vice Mayor Chris, members of the council. I'm pleased to be here tonight to present the winners of the 2015 Streets of Lancaster races.
I think the mayor was serious when he asked Mr. Cozy if he would come up and make the presentation
I'm sorry.
to the sheriff department. No, you do.
No.
He's just going to hand it to them and shake their hand and acknowledge the fact that they can drive so much better.
We talked about never listening tomorrow.
And we are embarrassed that, the rest of the team isn't here with you to give them their award. You know that, that you're here. That's right.
So Jeff, I'll get it if you go ahead and tell who won.
Well, we had 3 good days of racing, September 25th through 27th, and some of our most heated battles our most heated battle is the Guns and Hoses race, which draws a lot of people out for that race. And this year, the winner, the helmet goes back to the Guns team with Monty Buckaloo winning the race. So, Monty, can you come on up? Woo!
I like that. Good driving, Gerald was true.
Make sure you guys stay there for a long time.
Rex, can we have the other?
We get the other guys down?
Come on down.
Angela, go down there. Ken. Rex?
Pictures. They're up for re-election. They got to get in the picture. Come on.
Oh yeah, let's have everyone around Gerald.
I love you guys.
Put this down so we get Gerald's good side.
Yeah, there we go.
You can rub his head for good luck too if you'd like.
No, that'll slow it down.
Why is the mayor so perfectly framed?
You did good, Rush. Don't.
I used to think it was about what I did.
Excellent.
Good.
Man.
I have some fire department applications for you guys once you guys get to.
You work for a living, Devin. Do you have a concession?
That's why my personnel couldn't be here, because they're out actually saving lives. I do want to. Okay, yes, there's congratulations that are due. In the spirit of competition, there are winners and there are those that come in second place. I do want to, Monty, come on back down here. Come on back down here. This isn't the first time. This is not your first rodeo in this venture. I do want to take the opportunity to formally congratulate the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department for under the spirit of competition. They raced very well. There's no cheating involved, but they raced very well. I also want to applaud the city of Lancaster for allowing us to have the opportunity to have the spirit of competition. It's one of those things that actually we can look forward to every year, and it's a wonderful event. And you guys won it this year, but that's temporary. It's temporary.
Hasn't it?
You got it. You got it. So congratulations. Thank you, Monty.
Hasn't it been temporary?
Gerald, I would like to point out that Lancaster is so safe that we don't need lives saved.
Excellent point, Mayor.
And for the winner of the King of the Boulevard race, this gentleman won not only his own heat, but then beat 11 other heat winners in the finals to become this year's King of the Boulevard champion, which is Mr. Kenny Terrasiano.
That's at least two.
Yeah.
That's at least two.
Thank you so much. That's great.
You just say you almost won that race.
I almost won that race once.
How do you define winning?
I was the first guy to the emergency room. Okay. Do we have the mosquito abatement, or is that all?
Yes, we have them here.
And who's doing that?
The mosquito abatement district will be giving that presentation.
Okay, good.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, congratulations. My name is C. Kratz. I'm the district manager for the Antelope Valley Mosquito and Vector Control District. Our district, typically our activities begin in May and we're winding down now. We usually work through the end of October. It's pretty much seasonal. When our weather warms up, then that's when the mosquitoes become active. Our season started this year with a flyover, and the flyover we do every 2 years, and that's to identify the swimming pools in the Antelope Valley that are not being maintained. And that's primarily one of our biggest challenges are the backyard sources. We know about the sources that are in the streets, that we do curbs, gutters, basins, ditches, and then of course we do swimming pools, unmaintained swimming pools. We larvicide, which means specifically that we kill the mosquito in the larva stage, and we use a bacteria that is specific to the mosquito larvae. It doesn't affect any other creatures or animals, just the mosquito. You won't see us spraying adulticide typically because we don't have those high mosquito counts. A couple years ago, we had a pretty high count on the east side, and it was about a half-mile radius when they were actually the crops out there. So we did have a higher count then, and that's the only time that we've adulticided since 1958, and that's when the district was created. This year started out, it's been a pretty typical season. It starts out slow. Most of our activity comes in August as it starts heating up in September, and of course, it didn't help this year that we had some pretty good downpours. The first one was in July, and then we had another in August, and I believe in September. At that time, our mosquito counts did spike. They really, and when I say spike, I'm talking 40 in a trap. We have traps that we set throughout the Antelope Valley, several types of traps. We also have sentinel chickens, and we call them sentinel chickens because that's what they do. They're sentinels. The chicken, when it's bitten by a mosquito, it doesn't die, but the antibodies, the blood shows up as a positive for West Nile virus. So we know that West Nile virus is in the area. Interestingly enough, when in our traps, when we find lots of male mosquitoes, we know that our source is close by. When we've got female mosquitoes, those are the ones that bite. They travel farther. So we identify our sources by the types of mosquitoes and by the sex of the mosquito, how active that area is. Like I mentioned, we did have a spike in our mosquito counts. To this point, we have 10 sentinel flocks located throughout the Antelope Valley. That does include a flock of chickens that we have in Kern County in Rosamond. We have a contract with them to treat their ditches, some of their ditches. But in the Antelope Valley, Palmdale, Lancaster, Courts Hill, in the outskirts, we set our traps and the chickens, and that's when they test positive, we know that we've got West Nile in the area. I think the first positive West Nile showed up in August. It was a little bit later in the season than typically, but it's not unusual. It's not unusual. Up to this point, unfortunately, we have had one positive human case, and this is as of October the 9th. Our season is not over yet, and we will run through the end of October. We'll continue testing, and we'll continue reporting those figures. We do release press releases to inform the public as to what's going on in the valley. We also do presentations for community civic groups. We've done presentations on a regular basis. We do the schools. We work very closely with code enforcement in both the city of Lancaster and the city of Palmdale, and we receive a lot of help with the swimming pool issues. Sometimes it's an issue of getting into the backyard. So we work very closely with code enforcement and Public Works. They're a great help to us also. I'm not sure exactly if there are specific questions that you have or something that I can answer. We have a web page. We have a Twitter account, and the local paper has been very helpful in releasing information with our press releases. We've had quite a number of press releases. We also have a Facebook page. If members of the community are concerned that they feel that the count is high and they're noticing that they're getting mosquito bites, all they need to do is give us a call and we will put a trap in their yard. We really try to work with the public. When we are notified of a swimming pool or when our pool crew goes out, because we do have a pool team, they go out every day using the information that the flyover has given us, where we have identified the pools that are not being maintained. Our pool crew goes out. We treat the water to make sure that it's not breeding mosquitoes. It doesn't change the way the water looks or the way the water smells. But we do treat for the larvicide. We try to work with them to get them to drain the pool or get them to clean the pool. But while we're working with them, we're also working with code enforcement to make sure that code enforcement is aware of the issue and they follow up with us.
Why don't we have a reward program, I hate to say it, but a lot of neighbors know what's going on in other people's backyard.
Well, that's true. When we do take reports, and we make sure that the people that call in know that we don't pass that information on to their neighbors, but we ask for the neighbors to let us know if they've got a problem pool next door, and we get quite a few.
What I said was, why don't we give them a reward? Why don't we incentivize it?
It's a good thought. We're a government agency, so it's a little bit. There's more involved than in a private business, but that's a great thought, and that's something that I can bring to my board to discuss.
So will you get back to me when?
I will get back to you. We have a board meeting at the end of this month, and I will get back to you next month.
Wonderful, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
You said you work along with code enforcement, the city and everything. How do you work along with the hospital? Because I didn't hear you talk with the hospital. How are you identifying that there's a larger effect of West Nile in our area, or you're getting those traps and notifying the doctors so they can be aware if they see patients and they can be aware? How are you doing that?
Our primary focus is mosquito abatement. We're not a medical facility. We work very closely with the California Department of Health Services. In fact, the California Department of Health Services, they are who notifies us of our positive cases. Since we are not a medical facility, they have to let us know. They also do a lot of the presentations. The California Health Department, they're up here very active, but we work with them on a regular basis, on a daily basis, in fact. Back and forth, emails, they let us know what they're finding in terms of the human cases and where they're located. And of course, you know, Los Angeles County, it's a big county. And so they work throughout the county. But we do have, someone up here that we work with very closely, and we do have meetings that we discuss what's going on. We can't release the information because of HIPAA, as to specifically who might be affected, but they notify us who the human cases are. That's what they do. That's their focus. And we do presentations with them and for them. And then they
you're
do
telling me that the hospital is being notified?
Yes. The California Department of Health Services, yes. They've done several presentations to the doctors, specifically inviting the doctors to attend.
But are they aware when they are spiked?
Oh, yes. Yes, we work with them. They know what the numbers are. We count on them to let us know who the human cases are, because we don't know that. But yes, we work with them on a regular basis.
Okay. Are things changing? We're seeing the counts go up. We're seeing the counts go up for people being affected by West Nile. So what's changing?
The counts have not gone up in the Antelope Valley. We have one positive human case in the Antelope Valley. The counts do go up, and it's cyclical. Typically, I think last year in Orange County there were several hundred cases. A lot of things determine what the counts are. It's environment. A lot of it is how this was a really humid summer for us, and the rains caused our mosquito counts to go up. But it's man-made sources.
Come back. You said we have one positive case. In what period of time?
That was reported in the Valley Times. That was in September the 29th, I believe, was when we were notified that we had a positive human case.
Of this year?
Yes.
I see. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
And that's the only positive human we have thus far. But like I said, this is something
What was the outcome?
We don't know that. HIPAA laws preclude us from...
HIPAA laws preclude you from the identity of the patient and having any information about the specific patient. It certainly does not preclude you from knowing what the outcome is of somebody who's contracted West Nile in our city.
It does not allow us, excuse me.
And if you don't know the outcome, then the people in the city can't learn the outcome, and they don't get the benefit of realizing just how deadly this disease is.
I understand that. I really do. And this is an ongoing discussion that we're having with Los Angeles County Health Department. They won't allow that information to be released. It's not our choice. What we know is that a gentleman contracted West Nile virus. He was hospitalized. We don't know if he's been released, but that's the area that they report on, the health department reports on. It's called a SPA. Our SPA is Antelope Valley and Santa Clarita. That's in our SPA area. They don't specify what area specifically that positive case is, other than it's in the Antelope Valley and it was a male. But that's all that they...
the problem I have with it, it's L.A. County Council. They pull this stuff out of their ear and say that's what the law is, when it's just nonsense. It's just absolute, utter nonsense. We have not only a right to know, an obligation to report. You know, I've had people at the hospital tell me that they said, Rex, if you get West Nile so bad that you're hospitalized, hope you don't recover. Hope you don't recover. That's how bad this disease is, and we're not telling anybody, and we're keeping it a secret because of some nonsense about HIPAA, which, believe me, it's nonsense. I have read the HIPAA laws backwards and forwards. That's what I do for a living, is I sue people. I needed to know what HIPAA was. That's craziness, what you're saying to me.
I don't disagree with you, but they won't tell us. It's been an ongoing discussion with mosquito abatement districts in Los Angeles County because there are other counties that are much freer with the information. We want to be able to give that information. I would love to be able to say the person that contracted this lived on this street and it was in this time frame, but we can't do that. They won't allow us to do that. I don't disagree with you at all. It would make what we do so much easier.
Maybe we need the health department here, Rex.
Or both of them here at the same time?
Yeah, then we'll find out.
They get so scared when they have to come and...
Here's my problem.
Allison, fix this. Thank you.
In this room, and I'm not talking about staff or anything, just the audience, I know of 2 families that have been affected by West Nile. Just looking out in the audience, 2 families that have been affected. Don't you think that's a serious problem?
Sir, I absolutely agree with you. It's a serious problem. But it's not my decision to withhold the information from you. It is not my decision. It really is not.
Okay.
We get that.
Okay.
I totally
The county
agree
only
that it's
sends us a sacrificial lamb every now and then. You know? And I'm sorry, but tonight's your night.
I'm it.
Yeah, maybe we just need to get both
All right,
sides.
let Allison look into it. I mean, we really do need more information. The people need more information. Once they realize that this is going to literally destroy their family, maybe they'll start reporting more of the pools that are
We do have,
reading these
a lot
things.
of them do, and I think that sadly the most response we get are from people don't have a tendency to pay much attention until it affects them directly. Typically, they think in Lancaster and Palmdale and the Antelope Valley, it's hot. We don't have mosquitoes. It's not a big deal. But it's not how many mosquitoes you have. Is it the mosquito that's a carrier? And we do have those that carry the disease. So that's what's important.
Let me ask it this way. What can we do to help you?
Good question.
You know, getting the information out there and that getting people to read the information.
Do you know
biggest
everyone
challenge.
in Lancaster that has a pool?
I don't know them personally, but we have we have a list of bad pools. And there's a challenge with that too, because usually we might knock on the door because from our viewpoint, the pool might look bad, and so we'll go to that house and we'll put a notice on the door that tells them that there's been mosquito activity. We need to get in and look at their pool, treat it if it's bad. If it's not, we can take them off the list. And usually those people are the most upset because there's nothing wrong with my pool. I don't want you in here. If we could get cooperation with that. We don't want to cite people. We want people to clean up the problem. And the backyard sources are the biggest problem. But like I say,
Have we done any effort to look at the data to predict which houses are probably going to be the offenders?
We have a swimming pool list, and we have a pool crew that goes out. They work
But
Monday.
what are the commonalities? Are they renters? Is the age of the pool? There has to be some commonalities with these so that we could be more predictive in it.
It's a lot of renters that maybe the landowner doesn't provide pool service, and so they don't want to be bothered. It's some of the homes that...
Now, there's an idea. We could do an ordinance to that effect, couldn't we?
To which effect?
That the owner of the house has to provide pool service? And he has to they pass it on to the tenant by putting it in the rent?
Mm-hmm. I can look into it.
Look into that, would you?
Yeah, I would think that would go along with water and trash. Public health services require certain.
Wouldn't it be better if we just asked them for a certificate that their pool's clean?
Oh, and it has to be maintained. It takes
Well, but
5 days
at the
for
proper
mosquitoes.
time, we can go out
Yeah.
at the proper time.
And we do have, and
Mark's
the
looking
pool
worried.
list is a very active list. And our pool crew, they hit a lot of houses every single day, notifying people that they either need to clean their pool, or if the pool is clean, we can take it off our list. But that's our biggest unknown source, are the pools.
Thank you. It's a tough job.
Yes,
And
usually thankless, especially when people get bitten. I wish that we could kill all the mosquitoes. That would be the best solution to all of these problems, but reality is that's not going to happen ever. But what we can do is we can certainly be as aggressive and work together. I have a great appreciation for the City of Lancaster for their pool ordinance. That's been a great help in helping us to ameliorate some of the problems that we have with these swimming pools.
this is a big day for you. You now know what Daniel felt like.
Yeah. He only had one lion. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on. City Manager, any items to be removed?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, can I remind you, with regard to the item we discussed, asking Mr. Molly to make his brief statement?
Oh, that's right.
Thank you.
Mr. Molly, I'm kicking you off the Planning Commission. I need you to resign.
Yes, I had a great time serving for 7+ years in the Planning Commission, but I got promoted, so I am resigning from Planning Commission.
So you're
Thank you.
connecting the two, is that it?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now you now have a vacancy on the Planning Commission. We are looking at applications as we speak, right? Meaning Marvin told me this guy. So if you want it to be your guy, get an application in, because right now, all I got is Marvin's guy. Right? Too much information?
A little bit.
Okay. All right, SB NB1. Any speaker cards?
No speaker cards?
Okay, let's waive the presentation. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we adopt resolution number SA08-15.
I will second that.
Let's vote. Now, remember this, Raj. Seal this in your memory. This is your first vote. Then it's unanimous. Okay, SANB2, any speaker cards?
No speaker cards.
Let's waive the presentation. Is there a motion?
I'll move we adopt resolution number SA09-15.
May I ask that we add to that motion and direct staff to take all steps necessary to obtain lawful approvals, including oversight board approval?
So added.
I'll second.
Let's vote. It's unanimous. I'm recusing myself because of a conflict on SA and B3. I own the property almost next door to it.
And taking over...
That doesn't mean because I'm recusing myself, you can build a piece of junk there. It's got to look good. My office is right next door. Thank you.
A recycling plant. And Mr. Vos, you have a brief statement?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. As the appointed Planning Commission Chair, as well as a member of the Oversight Board for the Successor Agency, I'm not a voting member of this body. However, I am in those conditions. And since I'm the broker presenting the offer on behalf of Viper tonight, I will leave the discussion, and I don't want anyone to think that there is any remuneration, consideration funds, commissions, or anything of that sort coming from the city because of my position. However, if I wasn't in those positions, the cities typically pay a brokerage fee. So I'll leave the room as well.
Okay, we have no speaker cards. Waive the reading.
Okay, with that being said, then I'll make a motion to accept an offer from Viper Enterprises for the purchase of the 5.4 acre property.
I'll second.
We have a motion and second. Let's vote. Motion passes 4-0 with Mayor Paris abstaining. Can we get both of them back in? And I'll turn the meeting back over to Mayor Paris.
Thank you. You all look at the plans, make certain no, you didn't, did you? All right.
It's a recycling plant.
Tires? What is it, tires?
Yeah, tires.
Tires, okay.
Moving on. Council actions, minutes. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Okay, the consent calendar, anything to be removed?
None. Motion to approve the consent calendar is currently comprised.
Second it.
Let's vote. Unanimous.
And with that, I'd like to say happy birthday to Michael Reeves. And he's not here and usually speaks on the consent items.
I didn't know what to do. I mean, it was the first time we got through the consent calendar. All right.
Was that a birthday, was that a gift to us too?
Yes.
We will now open the public hearing on item 1. Any speaker cards?
Yes, we have 3.
Mr. Ludicky, be spellbinding.
I'll probably have to settle for being accurate. Mayor Paris and members of the City Council, the item that's before you to this evening is a general plan amendment and a zone change. It covers 80 acres of property in 2 separate parcels, as indicated to you on the map. It is part of a larger 725-acre commercial solar facility that was reviewed and approved by the Planning Commission at their September meeting. However, these 2 parcels are not part of the original Del Sur Ranch project. And the reason that they're before you is because the Del Sur Ranch project is still covered by a development agreement. That development agreement was amended approximately 2.5 years ago to allow an applicant to request through a conditional use permit approval of a commercial solar facility. These 2 parcels, not having been a part of that original project, are designated as urban residential and zoned as single-family residential. Therefore, they are required to go through a general plan amendment and a zone change to non-urban and rural residential in order for the commercial solar facility that covers these 2 sites to be approved and constructed. We have recommended that to you. This is part of the city's overall goal towards both promoting alternative energy and the benefits that solar development brings to our city and furthering the city's net zero goals. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Staff obviously is recommending to you approval of these requests as the Planning Commission did earlier.
Any questions? Thank you. John R. Dew.
I apologize. Apparently, I didn't fill that out completely. It's Dewar.
Sorry.
No problem. My fault. I am speaking in favor of this item. I have worked on several different solar projects here in the Antelope Valley, and as I pointed out before at these meetings and several meetings, I am local hire. So this is bread and butter in my pocket and how I pay my fair share for the taxes. The projects have always been clean. They work very hard at making them clean. As a matter of fact, the Alpine project, my responsibility was the foreman over the yard where everything came in and went out. I took care of all the vehicles. It was mandated by us, or by the company there, that it be kept clean, that we keep everything picked up. These projects have been good for the area. They've done well, and they have provided lots of jobs. Every time I go out on another one of these, there I am, everybody's looking at me, hey, Mr. Doer. So that would be basically all I would have to say about this, is that they've been good for the economy, they're good for the people who are working out here, the working people, and I wholeheartedly support it.
Thank you. Mr. Chance.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. I'm also in favor of the proposal. I think it's about time that we get off the carbon kick and, go into sustainable energies. I'm glad the AV is leading the area in that, and I'm in favor of the project.
Thank you. Garrett Bean. I remember you.
Familiar face these days. Good evening, Mayor Paris, Vice Mayor Chris, council members, and congratulations, Council Member Mahi. We're excited to be here today to bring you the remainder of this project. This is one that we've been working on for quite some time. We will be going into construction in December on this project. We've put a lot of hard work into it with the city staff, and we're excited to bring it to the community. So if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them for you.
Any questions?
Yeah. Do you have a decommissioning requirement on this one?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we adopt resolution number...
Wait a minute, I got to close the public hearing. Public hearing's closed. What?
There may be one more card, Mr. Mayor.
Come on up.
Excuse me, I handed her a card. I might put the wrong.
That's all right. That's all right.
What is your name?
My name is Ging McIntyre.
It's under non-agendized.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
He gets real sensitive, I do.
I don't have one of those guys with me.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor and other members, respectfully appreciate your time. I'm a real estate broker here in the area and have been in real estate since '76. One of the things that I'm unfortunate to have happening to me and my family is that we happen to own land across the street from, is it possible to have the map back up there?
Yeah, we'll get it back up.
We're now surrounded on three sides by solar panels. Our property is located at the south. If you see the line where the subject property is, we're at the bottom right-hand corner, right next to the solar panel site that's already there active. And between there and we own 60 acres heading east, family members. We basically have those two solar sites on both sides of us, and now this one would be in front of us. Some of these solar sites, I get the feeling that it's just Emerson had a good saying, the strong do what they will, the weak suffer what they must. It's no misunderstanding to me what I am in this equation. Property values drop significantly when you're in this case. There's There's no doubt about it. Who wants to get up and see solar panels out every window of their home? The solar panel site that's already optional or operational to the east of us was completely initiated and operational when I looked up some things and found out that my wife's grandmother had an easement that she put in place in '62 that gave us access to 90th, because as this gentleman Brian's aware, H turns into a roaring river when it rains. So somebody that's located in our location has no access out when that occurs. I was hired about 8 years ago by Sunlight Partners. People here at the city are probably familiar with them, to locate new properties. Their way to operate was to do it as a lease with the individual property owner. And that didn't work. Out of 70 projects, one was finished. I could go into those details, but I don't believe I'll have enough time. So
you have time. I don't know that you need to, but you have time. I killed your clock.
Oh, okay, thank you. It has a lot to do with when you put the word conditional in, you go to New York and try and securitize something, it doesn't work very well. So when you get people that are buying sites like these other big ones, they're not local people. I have respect for these gentlemen that are trying to earn a living, but the majority of the sites that are going up now are guys in San Francisco or wherever, and they got very deep pockets. And there's no local farmer or anybody anymore that's getting a big payday on these solar sites. It's just not happening. These other projects, they had hopes to get revenue, maybe a retirement cash flow stream. It's not going to work that way. The infrastructure and absorption and a number of other things preclude that from being practical. It probably cost them about $7 million to figure that out. I would make a suggestion, since one of your guidelines was to make a suggestion what could remedy it. People that get in our boat, why not give them an option on the future zoning? For example, the school that sits there, excuse me, no longer has any attendees that are close. There's, excuse me, I would guess that the number of students within, I don't know how far it is down to Antelope Acres.
It's better for my aging brain if you tell me what you want first and then explain why.
Okay.
Okay.
I would think that multifamily, put in, say where we are, would help that school. It would lower the cost for busing and things like that. There's no kids that are living within, my guess, 3 to 5 miles. Maybe there's a handful, but there's just not anymore. And so maybe some fair treatment on, if we went to get multifamily. Or in the case on the one that's already up and we brought up an easement, their remedy was, we'll give you a key and we'll build an alleyway through it with 2 locked gates. We'll give you the key or we'll give you $5,000, which do you want? It was nice for some of my relatives, but I would have preferred to have the access just for the value of the property down the road. I haven't practiced this or been around these type of hearings, so I'm probably not very effective, but it kind of reminds me of the Democrats' war on women. It appears that there's something going on there that's real beneficial.
I want to hear this.
Real beneficial, but very few people are benefiting from this solar party. It's very few.
I just disagree with you. I think that
I'd love to hear it.
I think that the greatest threat the country faces or the world faces today is climate disruption. And,
well, we're talking about how people that benefit.
And I think we are leading the nation in converting to alternative energy in this city. And in fact, I know we're leading the nation, if not the world. And I do recognize that it does cause disruption. But I don't know how to do both. But I like his idea of us, Brian, of us recognizing that when we put these fields in, it does change the equilibrium of the surrounding area, and we should be looking at zoning that would compensate for that in some way, and we should be making that process a lot easier. But the other thing that occurs to me, why aren't we zoning the whole area to have solar as an option, and I mean, does that?
Well, I would think that you're on the right track there, because then when someone goes to lease their land out and they're dealing with a company that doesn't want to buy it, then they can securitize it, because then it's a permanent designation rather than a temporary use, where when it gets to an underwriter, they say, we can't, securitize it based on a temporary standing.
Is the interconnect available out there to make this a bigger project?
Well, to give you an idea, and I don't know how you guys are...
Hold on,
Excuse
I'm
me.
asking a solar.
There is some more capacity in the area, so you could see more development.
Does it make sense to expand the zoning issue to a greater, more contiguous area? Should we, we only get so many general plan amendments a year. What would be the best way to accomplish that?
Well, most of the property that's out in this area right now is already designated as rural residential, and it allows solar, but it allows it, as the gentleman stated, through a conditional use permit process. The alternative would be to allow solar as a by right use, but that would take away the discretion of the city to determine whether the site is appropriate or not appropriate. There's a trade-off there.
Well, it seems to me if we have that much solar out there, we ought to just turn it into a square or a rectangle and
yeah. The mechanism is very simple. I mean, you simply
change the zoning.
There's one other thing there that Brian can talk to it better than I can, but it appears to me that looking at the map where your city and where your county is, what can I gain by becoming part of the city? Okay, let's go do that. And a lot of those people, like the Larwins, did that, 20 years ago, whenever that project started. So someone like my family that didn't see a benefit when you got raw land and a few houses, we didn't. So we wouldn't even fall under that, I don't believe.
Oh, you're not in the city limits?
No, right across the street from it. And it's pockets. It's, again, a pocket that we're stuck in where, unless, you had some benevolence on us with your idea in some form, we're stuck and we're in diminishing value. In my mind, basically our property's been turned into a form of M1 property.
No,
light
I
industrial.
hear what you're saying. I don't think you're wrong. Is there a solution?
Staff did look at one time at what it would take to do a large-scale annexation that would fill the islands in on the west side. Deputy City Manager Jason Cottle kind of oversaw that. There is a process forward to do that, but it would take a significant amount of staff time and effort to do it. It would need to be a priority of the council, I think, to pursue that.
Well, couldn't we farm it out to as solar? I mean, is it something that you would find beneficial? Could you pick up the cost of it? I mean, if we were supportive of it? All right. That might be a solution. Brian, can you get back to me in 60 days?
Yes, we've done a lot of that footwork already. We can lay out what the process would be.
All I want you to come back with is that you're working on a plan, and Jim, you got to do it through the Planning Commission. Does it sound right to you?
Is it possible that multifamily could go there as an offset for what?
Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
Excuse me. Thank you. In response to your question, quite a number of the parcels throughout this valley had been fractionalized to smaller parcels. So when you try to accumulate that many parcels and then process through LAFCO for an annexation, I mean, you're looking at a lifetime of work. I'm serious. The challenge that the developer would have to gather sufficient land to make a project worthwhile it's a huge economic investment. The conditional use permit process that the City Council has imposed on these types of development, the Planning Commission supports those because we have the opportunity then to condition them based on or deny them based on the desirability and the location. Suggesting, for instance, that there should be density housing at 90th Street West without any infrastructure, to me, is not very good
No,
planning.
I get that. I totally get that.
Yeah.
So
what I'm focusing on now is if the developer wants to undertake the cost of it, it seems to me that we as a government in the county also should be facilitating this, not creating these huge obstacles for them. Now, I understand we're dealing with the county, but, Mitch Englander might win. And if Mitch Englander wins...
Yeah, my guess is that the developer is going to be contacting the same people he would have contacted to either lease or purchase anyway. So, I mean, the database is there, assuming that that they're directing themselves towards smaller parcels. My sense is that they're directing themselves to larger parcels initially because they're easier to accommodate the project and gathering 300, 400, 500, 600 acres to make the project viable.
They have interconnect. I mean, we ought to take maximum advantage of that and do whatever we need to do it.
I think so.
Right?
One thing, something you said at the beginning is important. LA County is not supportive of solar. So we do have a very odd border out there. We would love to
Clean it up.
square it off. Brian was probably being a little kind. Working with LAFCO at LA County is a virtual impossibility. And I don't say that because they're bad people there. There's just a lot of hoops to go through. We can lay that out, what that would take. If it's in the city limits at first, it's a lot easier then to put the proper zoning, whether or not you have a CUP. But as it is now, someone would never get an approval if they're not in the city of Lancaster out there for solar.
All right, you guys got the gist of where I would like to go, and I'm assuming the council supports me on that. We'll be supportive of it in any way we can, but what I don't want to do is tie up the staff to the point that they're not accomplishing all the other things I want. In regards to your issue of density housing, it makes zero sense to put density housing out on the periphery.
Oh, I disagree, because if you look at the reason you're putting it there, the schools, the families that are going to that school
But let me
and the district will save money.
It might benefit the school, but we have to provide law enforcement and fire services. And when you put it out in the periphery like that, the cost factor just keeps going up and up and up, and it depletes the availability of manpower in the core. And the philosophy of the city is to put multi-residential in the core, where it makes the most sense. It also helps the downtown area grow better. As much as I'd like to help you with that's a non-starter. But I do think that it's idiocy not to have a predetermined area that everybody can take advantage of selling their property for solar rather than having to bear the brunt of not being able to. And maybe the county will see reason. But it also seems to me that if you have property in an area where there's interconnect into the grid that's available, that's a huge factor with solar.
Mr. Mayor, that's very deceptive, because behind the scenes, Edison controls that play.
Wait a minute. I understand that completely. I've been in the meetings with Edison. I'm the one that threatened to red tag their power poles if they didn't get more cooperative in this. Wouldn't that have been fun if I red tagged the power poles? I mean, for what it's worth. Anyway, other people didn't. Okay, I understand what your concern is. We will try to work with you, but this is the direction we're working. But there's really nothing I can do if you're not in the city limits. I mean, how can I help you if you're not in the city limits?
Well, right. Well, the only people out there that came in the city limits saw a benefit. And so, I don't know, I guess it turned into whether or not we wanted to be in the city rather than the multifamily thing.
And if we can fix that, let's fix it, okay?
I've done thousands of multifamily, and especially where I started in Oregon, and they do make sense when they're not in the city corridor.
I don't want to mislead you on this. You are not going to get multifamily housing from this council on the periphery of the city. You're just not. Now, a different council, maybe.
Even if there was a cost benefit to the school?
that is not our primary concern. Our primary concern is the safety of the community, and we vitiate the ability to provide that safety when we start putting multi-housing on the periphery. Okay?
Well, I can understand the taste that the city's had from that, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, do we still have to vote?
Yeah, close the public hearing.
Close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Make a motion that we adopt Resolution 15-55 and introduce ordinance number 1008.
Second that.
Let's vote. Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you. New business item 1.
No speaker cards, but
okay, is there we'll waive the presentation. Is there a motion? Or do you want to hear the report?
I'd like to hear the report.
Okay. Ms. Brubaker.
Good evening, Mayor Paris and City Council members.
Good evening.
The purpose of this is to approve the appropriation of $76,479,000 in awarded grant funds from LASA year-round shelter program. LASA is a joint authority created by the City and County of Los Angeles for the purpose of planning, coordinating, and managing resources for homeless programs. Funding of the year-round shelter program is through LASA, who is the lead agency in the HUD-funded Los Angeles Continuum of Care. The year-round emergency shelter program addresses the basic shelter and service needs of homeless persons each year. The year-round shelter program will operate from July 1, 2015 to June 30, 2016. The funds will be for operating and supportive service costs associated with providing shelter, housing, and services to the clients of the Lancaster Community Shelter. Please approve the appropriation of $76,479 in awarded grant funds from the LASA Year-Round Shelter Program 2015 to 16 to revenue account number 261-3307-100 and corresponding expense account number 261-4542-771. Do you have any questions?
I do. What are we doing to get more money from LASA?
LASA did provide additional money to Grace Resources in the amount of $100,000. They also provided we have a winter shelter program in which we got an additional $8,372 because LASA wanted all the shelters to operate starting October 15th because of El Nino, and they're not sure what's going to be occurring. But the City of Lancaster or Grace Resources can apply for funds that they can apply for based on what they do.
My understanding is the county has an extra $110 million for homeless shelters. Are we tapping into that? And if we have 12% of the homeless population and only 2% of the funding, I don't know.
We have applied for what we can apply for. So if there's additional monies there, I would have to do research, but I don't think that we meet the criteria to compete and apply for those grant funds. What we get is what we have compete for. We did an RFP for winter shelter. We're on our last portion of the contract for the year-round shelter. And then they got the $100,000 that they requested.
Where's that at, the winter shelter?
The winter shelter program? It's at the Lancaster Community Shelter. We put in additional beds.
How is that making sense for the overall benefit of the city? To continue to concentrate the homeless population in the center?
Well, at this point, that's what I must do because that's the only opportunity I have at this point is the Lancaster Community Shelter.
Well, if the County of Los Angeles isn't going to give us our share of the housing money available, why don't we just take that money and give them bus tickets or train tickets to downtown LA where they do have the facilities? let's start recognizing that these are going to be hard choices that nobody's going to like, and they're going to call us names when we do it, and they're going to tell us how heartless we are and all of that. But the reality is the responsibility for this lies with the Board of Supervisors. Ultimately, they're the ones that should be accountable for this because they're not giving us the funding. But I don't want to see any more effort to bring homeless people downtown. And the people that like to call me names can have a heyday. Call me anything you want. But it stops. I don't want this money. If this money is not going to the facility that they promised us out at the old Mariloma facility, I don't want it. And I would suggest we vote against it and not take it. There is nothing that benefits this city by increasing the homeless population downtown Lancaster, and we all know it. So let's just have the courage to let them call us names. I mean, something tells me it's not going to result in a change in the council.
Elizabeth, if we use this money, can we use it if they open the homeless shelter at 60th and I?
Yes, provided LASA approves that facility.
Okay, if that facility doesn't open, can we use the money to at the fairgrounds?
Yes, that's what we've been doing.
Okay, so can we make the stipulation on this that this money is not to be used for any other project other than those two?
That is how it. Oh, and then eliminate the Lancaster Community Shelter?
Yeah, that is. Yeah.
Lancaster Community Shelter, or the new fairgrounds, and 60th and I.
Correct. No, not the old one. We want to move the homeless population out of the center of our city, okay, to where it belongs, and a great facility out there at 60th and I. Los Angeles County is putting up a roadblock for us to do that. But I agree with the mayor that we shouldn't be promoting it to happen inside the city. But if we can keep the money and use it elsewhere at the fairgrounds or at 60th, then I think that we should keep the money and use it for those facilities.
You have to begin to spend the money October 15th and finish May 16th for the winter shelter program.
What we're saying is
year-round shelter is different.
We will do that. We will use that money at the fairgrounds if the Mariloma facility isn't up and operating. But we're not voting for this if one dime of it goes to the shelter in the downtown core. And what we're asking you, and as much as you don't like the idea, all right, what we're asking you is we are willing to vote for this with the proviso that none of this money can be spent on the downtown shelter. It has to be spent at the fairgrounds, or it has to be spent at the Mariloma facility.
Okay, the winter shelter program, that's a no. It was I did a request for proposal to LASA. We were approved for the Lancaster Community Shelter. So you would have to take the winter shelter program off, and there would not be a winter shelter program.
What's wrong with the winter shelter program at the fairgrounds?
Because it's both. It's the shelter and the fairgrounds, and they bleed it together by separating the men over there and the women over there, because it's based on beds. Beds and location. They have worked that out with LASA, and LASA has approved that.
I'm sure they have. I mean, you know, we have this group that has worked very closely with LASA and funding their pet projects while our homeless population downtown continues to grow. And in fact, they benefit from it continuing to grow. I mean, whoever approved that mental health facility downtown, and they get, you know, and everybody gets all excited about getting grants for them, which means more homeless, mentally ill people downtown. Let's recognize what we're doing here. We don't want them downtown because it disrupts the economic viability of the entire city.
It's like eating the seed corn. You know, it's just stupid. If the local shelter adds one more bed as a result of this money, I want to vote no for it. Can you make it so they don't add one more bed?
Then you are not going to be accepting the money, because this is for 39 beds for winter shelter. If you don't want the 39 beds for the winter shelter program, then you do not approve this.
Why am I being obtuse here? You know, help me.
Well,
why can't I have those 39 beds at the fairgrounds?
Oh.
If I may, I think we can do what you're trying to accomplish, and I think what Liz is saying is exactly correct. The shelter downtown is going to be there anyway. You don't want any more right now. Okay?
I want it closed. Let's be clear about that. I want that shelter closed.
And I think that there's a unanimous on the council for that. And I know Vice Mayor later is going to talk about.
I think there's 90% unanimity in the city for that.
I would probably agree with that too. But I guess what I'm saying is, if we accept the money with the condition that it will go towards the fairgrounds in terms of there's no more beds at the current location, meaning that it still meets what Liz said, which is it's a blended amount, it goes to 2, but if it allows the winter shelter program at the fairgrounds, or hopefully 60th and I think that's the most prudent course of action. You don't want more people downtown.
Let me see if we can do it this way. The winter shelter at the Yucca facility, we're not adding more beds there. What they're doing is they're splitting the money and they're moving the male population, so only families are using the Yucca location for the
And single females.
well, and single females.
Correct.
At that facility, but all males are being transported out to the fairgrounds. So we're taking care of that portion right now. But it gives us, to vote for this would give us the opportunity to work on it. But I think it needs to be clear that something has to be done.
Well,
Why can't you tell me that they are not going to add one additional bed to the Yucca facility and that they will have to add those beds to the fairgrounds? Why can't you just tell me that we can do that? What's the block?
I don't think you can.
Liz, you know it doesn't work that way. You got to tell me why.
Because when you apply to a governmental agency, there's requirements that you have to follow, and it's based on what you're approved by, and a board already approved this as the way we wrote it. And the way we wrote it was that there would be 39 additional cots. They're cots. And then how the shelter runs it is that there are additional cots for women and additional cots for men. That's how they work it out. So I can't make a promise that Grace Resources won't have those cots there for the amount of money that they're getting.
So if we move this to the next meeting, can you talk to Grace Resources and give me some?
I can't. October 15th is when they want us to start. Grace Resources already went down and picked up the beds for the winter cots for the winter shelter program. It was already in motion because they're afraid that homeless people during the winter won't have a place to go if El Nino hits. So they upped it from November 1, when we generally start, to October 15th.
So Elizabeth, let me ask it this way: what is the occupancy of our shelter now?
Oh God, I think it's like 60. Oh, including the beds, I think it's 63.
Okay, we're not adding an additional 39 to that, correct?
No, that's our total.
That's our total. So this shelter is not going to have 39 more people. The 39 more people, we're moving elsewhere.
It's a funding mechanism.
Correct. So we're not adding any more people to the downtown area.
Let's move them to the fairgrounds.
I'm getting hustled here.
Well, no, not really. It's a merging and a mushing, and it's a bed, and it's what you try to do during the winter to accommodate the homeless. That's how we've worked it.
The more accommodation we provide downtown, the more we will have. That's just the way it works. If we had Palmdale does no accommodation and doesn't have a homeless problem. How stupid are we going to continue to be? The county has one choice. If they want to sincerely do something to keep these people from suffering severe consequences, do what they said they would do. Fund the Mariloma facility. And let's be clear why they're not. Local agencies, nonprofit groups are fighting for that money, and they don't want to see it happen. Why are we keeping that a secret? I'm voting no. If there's a motion, make the motion. But I am not going to see one more homeless person downtown. The county has to do their job. Yes, I understand. El Nino is coming and it's going to be really, really bad. Then they need to do what they said they would do. We've arranged for busing. We've arranged for all types of treatment facilities. We've arranged for all kinds of things that are nothing but good. And all of a sudden, they pulled the plug on the money. And it was part of the deal to keep the Metrolink open. Should we revisit closing that? They have betrayed us. They have lied to us. They're cheating. Any way you say it, until they fund that facility, they're cheating. And I'm not going to be their conduit for that any longer. And I know it's not your fault. Thank you.
Okay. Wait, I have to year to shelter program after that.
Yes, sadly, we have a second staff report too, so you might want to hear that too.
Yeah, there's
They
actually
kind of
two.
got merged.
All right, let's hear
You
the
got to
second
take two
one.
separate actions.
You might want to hear the same staff report, so similar discussion.
So was my first one the winter shelter program or their year-round
Year-round.
Okay, so the year-round shelter program. Okay, so the first one I did was the year-round shelter program, and that is simply to appropriate the $76,479 that we were awarded in grant funds to run the year-round shelter program. That's just as it is.
So we could use that money.
What does that mean in bodies downtown?
Hmm?
What does that mean in homeless people downtown?
The bodies remain.
And if
in
we
the
don't do
shelter.
it, what happens?
And I'm sorry, what?
If we don't take it, what happens?
Well, then Grace has $76,479 less to run the shelter.
I can't do that.
Actually, they have $150,000 because it's both. If we take the 76,000 plus the 81,000,
They won't be able to run the
it is.
shelter.
It is.
So we would have to close the shelter. All it takes is courage.
You would have to close it, or they would reduce what they do, or they'd get they'd get other fund sources.
Just take the money and close the bus station. They lied to us.
Is that a motion?
Look, they are going to have to do some emergency motions and
Okay, let me
agendizing things, because if they don't, people will die in that desert. But as hard as that is for me to recognize, I also recognize that it is the leverage we need to have them do it right and do what they said they would do. Do I enjoy the prospect of me being responsible for an individual dying out there? I don't, but I will. We will save this city, and we will do whatever is necessary to do it. If that homeless population continues to grow downtown, that $100 million investment was for naught, because people are going to quit coming. My wife doesn't want to go downtown to Lancaster Boulevard on some days because of the homeless situation. And that downtown Boulevard is the proudest accomplishment that I have ever been involved in. And my own wife is struggling with it because of the increase in homeless people. I will take the heat, and I will be accountable for what occurs. But at the end of the day, our obligation is to protect this city. It is not to protect LA's homeless.
there's a motion, make it.
Can I?
Yes.
We had a meeting last Wednesday. Last Wednesday, we met with some high-ranking officials from the county. Some of the county officials that were there put the roadblocks up that they normally do. Our local people did. But we had an individual there that they're doing an emergency proclamation. The county is doing an emergency proclamation to bypass all the legal requirements that the state and the county have for the facility on Avenue I. If we wait, we lose this money because it has to be in effect for the 15th. So, Mr. Mayor, I agree with your position. I'm saying let's not shoot ourselves in the foot with this because we need to move forward with this. But they're saying they're going to do this. Mr. Mann was in the meeting with me. There's going to be emergency proclamations that Mr. Bozigan was also in the meeting. And all this does is it hurts our faith-based community by not accepting it. It asks them to do more because we're not adding any more people to the downtown area. It's just they're adding 39 beds. Where they add those is the question. So what we're doing is we're moving that out to the fairgrounds is our backup plan if the 60th and I doesn't work. So we have our first plan is for the 60th and I. Our backup plan is for the fairgrounds. Both of those are not in the downtown area. So we're working on maintaining or getting the homeless out. We're working on closing the shelter. We're working on doing all that, but this is on a time level. If we don't do this by October 15th, we lose the money, correct?
Correct. For the winter
Do
shelter program.
I have a consensus here that we want that shelter closed? Maybe not tomorrow, but within the next 12 months?
It is the right thing to do to move it to 60th.
We're not agendized for action on that.
I understand that.
Okay.
At some point, our ability to function is more important than the niceties of all this. With that, I hate it when he makes sense. You know, he so rarely does, but when he does, I'm kidding.
I know.
He has done a superhuman job in moving the county towards this, and I will accept that representation. Tell Grace, tell all of the nonprofits, if it doesn't move over to Mariloma, we're going to shut off everything we can in regards to support. And if they don't like it, they know what they have to do to fix it. There will have to be a regime change. They should get busy because I am out of patience. Fair enough?
I understand perfectly, clearly.
Thank you.
Make the motion.
If we
Fran.
Do you want me to read the first? Just nothing?
No. You're good. Thank you.
Okay, goodbye.
It used to be a lot easier before I came, didn't it?
That was a mouthful that just happened. And that's what my question was. What happened to the building on 60th and I? And I just heard what's happening. But when we went to the Metrolink in December and January this last year, they told me and all of you that they were going to open up the Metrolink, put the fence around it, do the security thing for the tickets and so forth. But they also mentioned to the public that they were going to open the facility on 60th and I. They had promised it. Now, like you said, they're going against to what they said.
But Fran, understand why that's occurred. It's because of local groups.
are undermining what we had accomplished. It's not just the county being dishonest with us. I think that what they're doing is having to listen to a lot of people. And, you know, whenever we do a disruption like this, it affects certain people's steady income stream. And this seems to be what people are afraid of occurring, so we're getting local resistance under the radar, not stepping out and having the courage to say this is what they believe or want or have a difference of opinion, but simply undermining a plan that a lot of people spent a lot of time and energy and effort in putting together that would really have a difference, make a difference in how long people are homeless. The whole idea of changing that plan now is really motivated by self-interest. It is not the interest of the homeless population or the city of Lancaster. And let's start recognizing it should be the interest of Lancaster first, and then the interest of the homeless and other populations nonprofits serve. But the city should be first. How the livability of our city, the well-being of our city should be first. And we've allowed it to become second. And yeah, El Nino's coming. It's going to be really bad.
Yes, it is. Very bad, yes. How many beds does the fairgrounds have now? Hold the 60-some-odd beds only?
It'll have an additional 100.
And so what's the total altogether?
It's like it's almost 200 for them, but we have a homeless population of over 10,000.
10,000?
For the Antelope Valley, for Spa 1.
Wow. Wow. I know, I hear you clicking.
This is Fran. What's the matter with you?
I got it. Well, it would be feasible then to get the monies that we can get now, work around with what we have for the time being. But in my mind, I'm going to do some talking.
Go ahead.
Not to here. I've done my talking here, but I'm going to go downtown.
Oh, good. Yeah.
And see if I can't. I did it before.
I know. You're a soldier. No question. Bring some troops with you.
Yeah. Come on, gang. Come with me. Yeah, because...
We'll get you a bus, won't we?
Okay. Give me just one more. I want some good news. Oh, no, I got one more thing. I want to find out what is being done with our senior center building. Mr. Bosigian.
She can talk about that.
We are continuing to beg the county for...
What? No.
It's a county facility.
I know, but when they said everything's on the go, I mean, I know it all takes time. They've gotten the monies and the property.
The mayor's right. If we continue to beg, it's not going to work. But what we've done is we've engaged a couple of local developers and looked and take the bull by the horns. Their estimate to improve that was ridiculous. But there is money there, and we've tried to work with them to show them they could do it for a lot cheaper and more efficiently on current site. That site has a ton of property that's underutilized. Right. So we're working with them, try to set up a partnership between the county and a couple of local developers for them to choose from and see if we can get it expanded on site. And that's the process we're in.
Okay, well, that's good.
You know, Fran, if you took 200 seniors down to the Board of Supervisors, you guys would have the greatest facility that you could possibly imagine. But you are going to have to raise some hell.
Yeah, well, okay.
And Marvin will get you the buses.
Okay. You going to go with me, too?
Absolutely.
All right, we'll go together. Okay, now let me get some good news going here. Let's change the tone here.
Friend, you still have a card for non-agendized items.
Oh,
Let's
I guess
vote on this. You come back and talk to us.
that's okay. I'll come back to that then. That's
Thanks.
my non-agenda item.
Okay,
we have to vote.
We got to vote?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you make your motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve NB1 and appropriate the $76,479, and we approve NB2 with the recommendations to authorize the city manager
to facilitate whatever he needs to do there and appropriate $81,627 for funding.
I'll second that motion.
Let's vote. That hurt. Is that it?
CR1.
Huh?
CR1.
Okay. Report on the activities of the Board of Directors of AV Transit. Vice Mayor Christ.
We met with BYD. It was a very good meeting with BYD, good things to come. We also met with the director of AVTA and told him that the city would like to change the buses completely to electric in 3 to 4 years. So that's a really good progress, what we're trying to do, and if we can do that, we'll be the first in the world.
Couldn't we just pass an ordinance that you can't have a bus in the city unless it's electric by a certain date?
I believe you could, but you'd probably want to talk
Allison
to the
is looking
schools.
aghast at me.
I think your school district might have some concerns with that.
Other than school buses.
I could look into it.
All right, when you get around to it. Okay. Thanks. Any other council?
We did meet with, we had a rally out. Angela, you want to talk about the rally out at 60th and I?
Sure. We had a lot of the people from the faith-based communities out there supporting the 60th and I with the shelter. It was actually a fantastic event. We had a lot of representation from the city of Lancaster, and the faith-based community folks were there as well. And we actually received a lot of press from that particular event. Marvin did an excellent job in explaining why we wanted them to move forward regarding the county to help us, to assist us with what they said they were going to do and follow through. So it was a very good meeting, in fact.
And we did have a follow-up meeting to that myself and Mr. Mann attended, and it was with the county reps. And our faith-based community has come a long way, and they now see what we're up against as far as the roadblocks that the county has put in front of us. One of the reps that was at this meeting actually asked us to build a roadway for the homeless from Lancaster to 60th up through Lancaster Boulevard, which I felt was pretty ridiculous, because he wants them to have a bikeway or a walkway so they can get back and forth. And we told them that we would have the buses available to them from the different bus stops, and that wasn't good enough. So when we talk about roadblocks, Mayor Paris, that was one of them that was thrown in at the last minute, and I have no understanding on why.
Could we ask the county to start giving IQ tests before they hire people? What?
Sir, ordinance or just a request?
Gerald never would have got a job.
Whoa! You know,
Did you want Marvin's address so that
if you want
can
some
just
help
not
in
go there?
disciplining
Marvin, you know, you got 4 people, 5, 6 people here that will assist.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate that.
So the faith-based community has So the faith-based community has got on track with us, and they're seeing the roadblocks that the county reps have put in place, mostly LASA. And it's important to understand that we're in SPA 1. Each one of our homeless members gets $279.
In SPA 4, they get $4,500 per person. So we talk about an inequity in funding. That's why. And a lot of those directors at LASA have financial interests that are in SPA 4. So it's very interesting to see what happens and why in that. And we were also contacted by the grand jury in order to find out exactly what is taking place with LASA and its situation. So with enough time, with enough patience, we'll try and get this fixed.
Allison, did the city bring a RICO case against LASA if in fact these people are designating money to things that improve their own financial condition?
I'll look into it.
Do that, okay? A RICO case is a racketeering.
Corrupt organizations.
That's right. Case. All right. You might.
You want to give any take on the meeting?
Yeah, it looked like to me, Mayor, that there was a possibility of doing a workaround. So I was sitting there somewhat optimistic that they could pass an emergency ordinance to be able to, because what they were doing was saying that because the facility it would have changed designated uses, then now they're required to meet all sorts of new state requirements. But he felt that there may be a legal way to do a emergency ordinance and do a workaround so that we could occupy that facility out there. And I thought that was a great idea because typically what I know in California, once you get occupancy, it's kind of hard to get people out. So I was looking.
That out loud.
I don't care. Sound like it was a pretty good idea. So hopefully we can do a workaround.
Thank you. You guys are working really hard on that. I don't want anything I say to indicate that I don't understand that and appreciate that. All right? Good. Any other city council reports? Any reports from the Planning Commission or Criminal Justice? Good. Thank you. Sheriff's Department. Why are pit bulls making a comeback? I want it clear. The enforcement of those pit bull ordinances are a priority in the city of Lancaster. I don't want to see people who look like gangbangers with a pit bull on a leash. I don't want to see pit bulls at all. If we have an ordinance, we need to enforce it. All right?
Yes, sir. We'll definitely work on that.
Treat them as if they have a loaded gun that they're carrying around our city streets. I mean, remember what happened in Palmdale with the 80-year-old woman? They ate her.
Alive.
Huh?
Alive.
Alive. Thank you. I met with some doctors where we'll be forming a commission that will hire a recognized public health expert to come in and look at why we have such a deplorable mortality rate. And it's going to be no holds barred. We're not going to spare anyone. We're going to get somebody from outside the area that is going to look at every facet of our healthcare system and make recommendations as to what we need to do to fix this. Okay. Interestingly enough, some of the doctors have agreed to fund this, and we're going to do it with contributions, and so get out your checkbooks. We'll be calling. It actually shouldn't cost that much, but it's going to be an expense. But I do want it funded by donations rather than the city, because I want it to be a community effort. All right? Make sense?
Great.
Good.
Maybe Raj could head that up.
Raj, of course. I seem to remember a few doctors in the crowd tonight.
I'll work on that.
Good. I don't know what turned my switch on tonight, but It's on. That's all I have. All right, let's do the speaker cards.
City manager.
Oh, city manager, I'm sorry.
I have three. We were debating whether I should say, do you know where the off button is too, but Jason told me I shouldn't say that.
That was good. That was really good.
Yes, we have three things. We have two videos about Bark in the Park and about the streets of Lancaster. But first, I want to go over in the wake of Kelvin Tainatongo's sudden death, a lot of the staff members and community members wanted to do something for Lymphoma Awareness Month. And we've had way too many staff members and community members that have been affected. So we did a lot of things. Park Recreation and Arts lit up the boulevard and other city facilities green, which is the color. And Jocelyn Corbett and Britt Everett led up an effort at the city to raise funds. It went around Mustache Day, which I still don't quite understand. But the upshot was that they raised $4,200 with the community. We're going to give that to the Tainatongo family. And I'll wait till the pictures are gone. That's our boy. We're going to give that to the Tainatongo family. They're in a walk on November 14th under the team name Guam Bomb. And with that donation, they are going to be the #1 fundraiser starting off that walk. So thank you to Jocelyn, Britt, and all the city staff. I'd like to give them a hand. And we have two videos. First is Bark at the Park, then Streets of Lancaster. In the Bark at the Park one, I want you to look for a very attractive tan Chewini by the name of Candy. She's the star of the video.
Alicia Austin here with the City of Lancaster at the 2015 Bark at the Park event, where dog owners and their furry little friends come to enjoy a day full of fun-filled activities and events, all for dogs.
It's a beautiful day today. We couldn't have asked for better weather. Last year was a little warm. This year the temperature's just right, so everybody's having fun.
It started over 20 years ago as a little community frisbee organization, flying disc organization, and the competitors would come here to this park and they would compete and practice for a larger event that happened down below. And so we decided in the dog community that we'd like to do a few things in conjunction with that, and it just started to grow, and the city took interest in it, and here we are.
Picasso. What you do is you bring your dog here and you actually paint with your dog. You take your dog's paw, tail, nose, whatever you want to use, you paint with it, and it goes onto a canvas. And then you can hang it up. You can actually bling it up, put anything you want on it, and it's a memory of your dog and you. It's
Really?
the Parks and Recreation puts on the Bark in the Park. And they have different games and different things you can do here. And we just happened to draw Picasso about 3 years ago, and it's been wonderful. The people, the dogs, just everything they do here is just wonderful. You can walk around, you can see everything that's happening, and it's all for the dogs.
That's why we have mental health.
The owners are initially the excited ones coming in here, and they sign up. They get out here, and once the dogs get it, which is usually going through the first tunnel, then they get excited to do it. And to see that look, the first time their dog takes a tunnel and gets through it, and the owner says, "My dog did that. I didn't think my dog would do that." It's priceless. It's worth being out here all day just to see that look between dog and handler.
I love dogs. I always have. I'm an animal lover. This is Bruno. He is a Yorkie. He's about 7 years old or so. Daisy is a Chewini. She's a rescue. She's also a certified therapy dog. So she goes around to hospitals and healthcare centers and such, and visits patients and whatnot. I love Bark at the Park. It's one of my favorites.
Mark, your dog
Yes.
didn't make it through the tunnel, did it?
Careful, the dog's watching, and so are her grandparents, Ralph, in Virginia, so careful what you say. Our park staff and our public works and development staff, everyone did a great job on that event.
Made it through a couple times.
I made it through the tunnel, that is correct. The next one is Streets of Lancaster, which is really well done this year, as usual.
This is where it's at. This is where the next elite comes from. So if you have any interest in motorsports, then this is a good place to be. I have to be honest with you, and this is no baloney. This is my workers' favorite place to come because it's a street race, you know. Definitely get down there and check it out. You know, you got little kids roaming around about 60 miles an hour. At 7 years old, we're almost at 100. We're at 96 miles an hour down the straightaway. It's good stuff, you know. I mean, if you like the air show, this is like the air show, but we're on the ground. You know, it's crazy stuff, and they're hitting 2.5 Gs to 3 Gs. I mean, these are big, big numbers.
7 years of this. It's building every year, but it's becoming a Southland event. It's one of the point systems now. So being one of the point systems, it draws people from San Diego all over California. It's great for business. It's great for hotels. It's great for people that have restaurants. It's great for Lancaster. It's great for the entire Antelope Valley. Our staff does a wonderful job. And it's a sport that's never been here in the city of Lancaster before. I drove the first and second year, and I decided not to do that because of the crazy people involved. There was a lot of council people in there.
Where else can you go? Practically free entertainment. You get to watch these guys run around this track like maniacs, guys and gals. It's just really an incredible thing. The exposure that this gives our valley, I mean, you can't even measure it. It's just such a great thing. I will not miss the streets of Lancaster.
It's great for the entire city. I'm so glad that I'm part of it. This is definitely an amazing event we have in the city of Lancaster. Everybody come out and they enjoy it.
The way the track is laid out, I mean, it's like you're right there. Everybody needs to be coming out and checking the races out. And if you don't like racing, come out. You might start liking racing.
Well, this is really, really exciting. This is a big deal. And I'm blown away at the speed of these carts. Doing 80 miles an hour down this boulevard, an inch off the ground, it's quite an adrenaline rush, that's for sure. And I'm really honored to be able to sponsor this. It gives me a chance to give something back to the community that's given so much to me and my employees. I'll be here for many, many years. This is exciting.
When you're 3 inches off the ground and you're racing in that final race, it gets pretty, stuff happens fast and a little bumping and having fun, and everyone wants to win, so it's a blast.
This has been the coolest, the absolute coolest. When you can walk down Main Street in Lancaster and see the lights, the action, the fast cars going around, I feel like we're doing a takeoff on Fast and Furious.
I'd like to give our director, producer, and brains, Luke Duncan, a big hand for all his work on it.
He's got talent.
Labor of love. I want to get me one of those.
Okay. Is that it? We're all done?
City clerk.
What do we got to do? City clerk. Still have to do that. City clerk.
This is the time to address the City Council agency and authority on non-agendized matters. Speaker cards can be found on the back table of the council chambers. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. State law prohibits the City Council from taking action on items not on the agenda, and your matter may be referred to the City Manager. Thank you.
Thank you. Maria de Los Angeles. Welcome.
Hello, Mr. Mayor and
How are
City
you?
Council. My name is Maria Los Angeles, and I'm here to let you know the youth are breaking into our houses and kicking doors in the daytime. And when we call the police, it takes 3 to 5 hours to come. I talked to the police why they take so long. They say they're very tired, overworked, and they don't have enough police officers and they need help. And that's why I'm here. They're kicking doors in the daytime. I'm afraid. I'm with my granddaughter in the daytime. She's 9 years old. She was born and raised here in Lancaster. This is her land. And I want to protect my grandkids from people trying to break in. I'm 62 years old. I can't defend my granddaughter. I might have to get a gun to try to defend my family because it takes too long for the police to come in, and I'm afraid. And it's the neighbors' kids that they're breaking into our houses.
Let me ask you some questions, okay? When you called, was somebody breaking in at that moment?
Yes.
And it took 3 hours?
It takes 3 to 4 hours.
When you called, there was somebody breaking into the house, and you could hear them, and you called?
Yes. And they also broke into my neighbors. I was walking to my neighbor's house, and they were breaking at 1:30 and at 1:15 in the afternoon on Sunday. They were kicking the door. It was 3 kids.
The sheriff's deputies will talk to you tonight and get more information, and we'll investigate that, okay?
Yes.
The thing you need to understand, or, it's regrettable, but it's the same for all of us, is they are overworked. And if there is no emergent situation at the moment, meaning there is no crime being committed, then that is a follow-up investigation, and that is a lower priority because nobody's in danger. When somebody's in danger, the response is immediate. But they do have to prioritize how they respond. Now, if you called in that somebody was breaking in at that moment and there was not an immediate response, we will investigate that and deal with it. Of all the cities in the county, we spend more money on law enforcement than any other city. And we actually have the best law enforcement of any of those cities and with the best response times, but they are prioritized.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do support the police officers here in Lancaster because they're overworked and they're trying to do their best to keep it safe. And that's why I'm here to try to ask you that we need more police, more people. I live in the east side. And it's very dangerous. Gunshots every night. I have to sleep on the floor. I'm 62. I have to have somebody to help me to go to the bathroom at night because I can't get out from the floor. It's gunshots, and my street is holes in the walls with like this, as big as this. Every night it's gunshots.
I would like the breakdown of all gunshots reported on the east side, and I want to see if there's a trend, if it's getting worse, because we knocked it down, right? Good, thank you. I'll look into that, okay?
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Wally Melendez.
I know. What? ABTA. ABTA buses.
Good evening, City Council, staff, people of Lancaster. How you doing, Mayor? I want to make a report here on the intersection of East J and 10th Street East, known as Challenger Way, and East J Avenue. It seems to me that when I cross that intersection, the walk signal for the pedestrians was put in there without any thought. It takes a long time for the walk signal for the pedestrian to come on, and it then just comes on for a little bit, for a minute or so. So you have to, of course, you have to walk real fast to get through it. But that's not the main point I'm trying to make here. I've been in other towns here in LA County, and can you hear me, Mayor? Because you're going like this.
I'm just astonished, but go on.
It seems to me, I've been in other towns in Los Angeles County, and it seems to me that they put a lot more thought for the welfare of the pedestrians than in this town, Lancaster. In most towns that you go to, the pedestrian has the right of way. And in this town, Lancaster, the drivers, number one, drive too fast. They don't respect the lines, the white lines, and there's no respect for the pedestrians. Now, what I'm saying is this. That's only one intersection that I'm talking about. But I've seen many intersections in this town the same way. So whoever does that work in this town needs to think how to do it right and respect the pedestrians. The pedestrians have the right of way. Let me make this clear. The pedestrians have the right of way, not the speeding cars.
Thank you, Wally. Now, the length of time for the streetlights is Jason's responsibility, and he's the one who sets those timers on every single major intersection. So,
Bang.
I don't know what to say. Okay, thanks.
So fix that intersection, and then I'll believe you. Thank you. Thank you, man.
Fran, save me, please. Dear God, save me.
Oh, okay. I just want to say, before I came here, I just came from another meeting of the AV Senior Network on Aging. But I just kind of want to put this, it's food for thought, I guess you would call it. Because in the meeting, we had different women or people, women also, from different organizations for the seniors. But there was one organization that was I can't remember exactly, but that's not the point. The point is that it was mentioned that the price, that the pharmaceutical people are going to increase the prices on insulin to the seniors and to people. And I found that very disheartening, because as it is, to get insulin, and they'd have to take that daily, it's a very deep, cost-effective, not cost-effective. Anyway, that was the other thing I wanted to bring out was this last Saturday, your mom was there. We had a nice time. The Lancaster Senior Center and Sierra Health Group put together what we called it a senior prom for seniors, and it was beautiful. It was elaborate. It was a gala affair.
So, who was my mother with?
With me.
Fran, don't give him up.
Let's see. I guess that's all I have to say tonight. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you, Fran. Okay.
Any comments from the city council?
Not now.
None. Tonight, we are closing the meeting on behalf of Bill Pursley. Bill was a loving husband, father, grandfather, son, brother, and friend. He was very involved with the Antelope Valley. He served on the city council from 1989 to April of 1992 and was an active member of the Lions Club. He was well known and respected in the real estate community. He will be missed by his family and friends. The city council meeting is adjourned until Tuesday, October 27, 2015 at 5 p.m. And Carol, I'm not going home. I'm going to Raj's party at Molly's. So if you want to meet me there, please do. Thanks.